born to win. I say I was born to win.
A firm pleasant good morning to all of our listeners across the country, also to our listeners listening to us via our online platform at eobcradio.com, so you can listen wherever you are on the planet. Thank you for joining us. I'm Daniel Ankrah. Welcome to the first discussional segment of our program this morning after our calls with the correspondents. Joining us in studio this morning, as announced earlier on, I have with me, and I'm taking my time to very carefully go through, but I have with me in studio the Chief of Staff of the Armed Forces of Liberia, the Honorable Prince Charles Johnson. Good morning, sir, the third, to be very specific. Good morning, sir, welcome.
Good morning, Daniel.
Thank you for coming. How are you doing?
I'm doing good.
Great to have you join us this morning.
Thank you.
Also, I have with us Brigadier General Geraldine George, the Deputy Chief of Staff. Good morning, welcome. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure having you.
Thank you.
Great. Also, I have the Forces Command Sergeant, Major Cooper Manko. I hope I got it correctly.
Correct.
Good morning, sir. Welcome. It's a pleasure to have you too.
Good morning, sir, and thank you.
Great. So thank you all for being here this morning, and thanks on very short notice for honoring our invitation to be here this morning. First thing is, it's not every day that we get to talk to people like you, so when we have that opportunity, it's good that we make the most use of it. To begin with, and to give our listeners a fair understanding, please tell us what your job entails, and I'll go across the table, before we get into the specifics of our conversation. As Chief of Staff.
Okay, as Chief of Staff, I'm the most senior military personnel in Liberia. I supervise the planning, operation, day-to-day activities of the Armed Forces of Liberia. I also serve as military advisor to our President, the Commander-in-Chief, President George Weah. And on the strategic level, we get his own desire and points for which he want to drive the armed forces with our own advice. We go down the line to be able to execute, and with me, I have my two dependable advisors who assist me in doing what I'm doing. So maybe I'll pass it on to.
Sure. Deputy Chief of Staff.
Thank you. My job is to supervise the staff at headquarters, and I coordinate with all the subordinate units within the Armed Forces of Liberia, and I advise the Chief of Staff on personnel issues when it comes to school, it comes to finance, and everything that I must deal with.
And let me be quick to say, the first female Deputy Chief of Staff. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I can only wish you well in bigger dreams. Let me come to Honorable Marquette. Tell us, what does your title of your job entail, especially at level of the armed forces?
So, as a Forces Command Sergeant Major, I am the senior enlisted advisor to the Chief of Staff.
Okay.
I advise the Chief of Staff on all issues relating to enlisted soldiers. Part of my job is to coordinate with the enlisted support channel, the NCO support channel, to ensure that everything that's supposed to be in place is done. I'm also responsible to seek the welfare of the soldier, what we call MWR, morale, welfare, and recreation. So I coordinate that with the troops. I am the eyes, or NCO. The NCOs are the eyes and ears of their commanders, and so that transcend with me up at the level of the Forces Sergeant Major, wherever the Chief of Staff cannot go, what he needs to know, I inform him all of those.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for coming. Now let's begin with the conversation. Firstly, when you took over and when you got appointed in February of 2018, it was a job to do. Now tell us, what sort of mindset, especially that you've been in the service for over 11 years plus now. It's been a long time coming, and you're no stranger to the Armed Forces of Liberia, and of course to the international community when it comes to military activities. What was your focus when you took over?
I will tell you, fortunately for me, I was serving as the second. What Colonel Brigadier General George is serving, and I will give all credit to our former boss, who currently serving as the Minister of Defense. Major General Daniel D. Zianka, who gave me that opportunity of serving in the position after he served like 3 4 years when I was appointed. He gave me that opportunity to fill in the gap, and I learned a lot of stuff in there, and I had that experience already. So it was not anything strange because I saw him the way he worked, the way he pushed me to understand how to run the office of the chief of staff. And another credit I would give is to the commander in chief. Within the armed forces of Liberia, we have a merit system. We have order of merit. Right after General Zianka was appointed, retired, and appointed as defense minister, the president had no obligation of saying I could fill in because there is no constitutional obligation of the commander in chief. But he thought it wise to listen to us. Like we have a standard that in the international community through the U.S. government have provided a standard and order like ECOWAS, order of international partners, that we have a standard in the AFL, we have the order of merit. So he saw the wisdom to continue with that standard, though he did not have any constitutional bearing to like say, I would take because you are number two.
Yeah.
But he sat to listen to us, and he accepted the fact that I should move on to number one, and I was appointed. And then we also went by the order of merit. The person we had like third in line, that was some disciplinary action. And then Geraldine, who was like fourth in line, then came in. So, like I was saying, just the fact that the president and commander in chief could accept to continue with that order of merit that we have in the AFL, I think it's applaud to him. My perspective when I took over the job, like I said, I have broader knowledge because I served like almost 2 years as deputy, and it was fine. So I think it's all because of that. But I will not say I did it alone.
Yeah.
I think with the support of these two individuals here and the others, like the other staff, we were able to reach this far in the last 2 years. And like you said, we're here to talk about something like I don't know what I can just start.
What are key issues to be highlighted when it comes to the armed forces of Liberia? Let's begin with the achievements so far, and then we can come down to the challenges.
I'll tell you there's been a lot the last 2 years, and the credit goes to that private soldier who's currently now standing at that gate. It's all because of what you do. That today we are able to achieve some of the things I'm going to mention. I always start on a platform that since the restructure in 2006, on a former President Salif, our position was to recruit, create an organization, establish a command structure. After recruitment, put everybody into units, which Madam Salif did for the last almost 10 years in there. And then now, under President Moya, our own strategic objective is how can we expand the force. Expanding the force in the issue of saying we have a command structure, we have the personnel. Now we have added what we call motorized unit to the light infantry. That is, we got units on wheel that can engage into theater, into battle. We never had that before. So it's the motorized using the APCs, armor personnel carrier that we have through our own President Weah, who managed to negotiate with our partners in the UAE that we started to receive some APCs. Through again our US partner, we were able to expand the issue of how can we protect our maritime domain, the waters, to build a boathouse in Grandmaster County. We have an MOU with NAFA, that is the fishery. Currently, they managed to talk to the UK government, sending a bigger boat called Lone Star that we have, and that will enable our Coast Guard to be able to man our waters. You may be aware that we have like about 300 nautical miles of water that is from like Cape Mount as far as to Harper area. Our partner is being through the US government. There's a delegation we're expecting by the end of this month. How can we establish our own national peacekeeping center and the National Non-Commissioned Officer Academy? This will be the first time we'll be having such academy, but I will leave that with the list there. He will on that. We also have our first time again since the inception of this new AFL. We are planning exercise with our US counterpart. They'll be bringing like a company size in. They're currently doing an assessment to see where we're going to conduct either a Camp Ware or a Camp Todi. Yeah, currently are working on also and getting the modalities. We did sign an MOU with UK on the issue of training when it comes to peacekeeping. As you may be aware, the French is also engaged with us. That anytime we are sending our doing rotation for pre-deployment training, they send units from Senegal, from UK, to come to Liberia. train our guys. We're currently working on a proposed MOU with Guinea. We do have an MOU with Ivory Coast where we do joint border patrol at our common border. So we'll be starting now with Guinea as soon as possible. Internationally, I will tell you, we just completed our 6th batch
So
of
before
rotation. That's the senior achievement I'm still on for
No, no,
on
no,
international
no.
level. Okay, I know.
Sorry, but before you go internationally, I want to ask you this quick question. You just mentioned something very important about border patrol with countries like Ivory Coast, which is very key. Now I want to know what differentiates that from what the immigration will do, because they too do border patrol. So what differentiates that from what the army does?
So what we do, this came as a result of lesson learned.
Okay.
Before, in the past, like 20, 30 years ago, a lot of West African countries, our minority war union, we were so suspicious of each other. You saw where it led us to into a big civil war. Yeah. So now with this MOU being signed between the both military, simultaneously we're going to have troop that will position for like a couple of days, weeks, but we'll patrol on our side. We're not bothering with the immigration checkpoints, the bullet points will be there. They will continue with the job. It's just a patrol, so our people, we can build confidence in our people in that area that look, these two military, these guys are working. So we cross the border, we talk to the guys cross the border, can talk to us. We patrol at certain point, talk. So currently we have liaisons that we speak to in case of anything. This is to deter that, just in case if anything going to happen. So currently I'm in contact with my counterpart, the Chief of Defense Staff in Sierra Leone, Ivory Coast, and Guinea. That in case of anything, I can just reach up to them, call them. The same, they also got my number, they can reach up. So with that relationship that we are building, it shows how much that both countries and military are collaborating, that in case of anything goes. So that is the main essence or strategic objective in doing this.
Okay, so I get that. I'll come to you guys very shortly. So you may proceed now. Let's get into
So to continue international, like I said, we just completed our 6th batch. Under Madam Salif 2013, we inducted, we went into peacekeeping on AFISMA. That is the African-led forces when the problem started in Mali.
Yeah.
With that, she went with African leaders and committed a platoon to go there. Today, I can tell you now we have a company in Mali, under President we have graduated from being a platoon to now to a company in Mali, and we did our 6th rotation in Mali. In July of last year, we finally cemented the deal between the United Nations Department of Peacekeeping, that is, we signed an MOU that we have between New York and Liberia as a country. So all our equipment currently we have in mission, they have started to repay. So we are going to be reimbursed for those equipment that was just signed in July of last year. We have also deployed military attaché. First time in history since 1956 to have a military or defense attaché being attached to near the capital in Washington, D.C. and New York to work based on our peacekeeping mission there. We also have a attaché in Ethiopia, the African Union, that worked there. He also served on the Committee for Peacekeeping in Africa. Konofole, he's currently doing that work there. And as you said on radio, we have expanded. We're not just in Mali, we're in Sudan and South Sudan. In those areas,
So is it safe to say the size of the?
Well, I will not tell you the size exactly, but I will tell you for the number of people we have in those two countries.
Okay.
We have 75% is female.
Really?
25% is male. And those are staff officers who are working in those areas, and they are doing extremely well in that. We also just completed our MOU with our counterpart. It was through the U.S. Embassy. By next month, we'll start to receive some equipment from U.S. government, additional armor personnel carrier through the U.S. government from a U.S. company, and those equipment will be coming in. It will be going mainly for peacekeeping. There, we also conducting training. We send our first personnel to the War College, currently in college. He will be graduating this July. We are reopening the fact that before you had 2 personnel who went to West Point, 1990. We have started to engage the U.S. government. Currently, we have college there. Our air wing, we got 2 pilots that graduated from Nigeria. We're talking to Ghana to see how they can come and help us to build our own platform of our air unit. We're just in Ghana. We're working on the modalities through the ambassador in Liberia. And so far, but we can't talk just achievement with all challenges. So challenges.
We'll come to the challenges, but let me come to Brigadier General Jerry George. What are the issues? Because when I say what are the issues now, I mean that it's not every day, and you're the first. And many young women across the country or even across West Africa, or across Africa, looking up to you becoming the first Deputy Chief of Staff of the Armed Forces of Liberia in Liberia. What does that mean for you?
Oh, it means a lot for me because I have achieved something that most women have not achieved. If you take a look at Africa, you will find out that you have women, some women that rose to the rank of general, but not to hold like a deputy chief of staff position. So it's like I serve as a role model for a lot of the women, if not all.
Interesting, and that's a good thing because you can, of course, lead the way, and the way you serve will definitely be a guidance for them. Let's talk about the challenges because when you spoke initially in your opening comments about your responsibilities, you talk about dealing with staff directly. So I'd like to know what are some of the challenges.
Some of the challenges we have is the issue of inadequate funding because you cannot run the institution with people and you cannot do promotion. Like recently we promoted 257 enlisted, when he was talking about majors, captain and lieutenant colonels. But if you don't have the funding to have the training for them, they have to go through schools before they can be promoted from one rank to another rank. That's an issue for us. Our next issue is the issue of logistics. Logistics will never be enough, but we still need logistics. Because let's say, for example, something happened in Grand Chile, and you don't have the logistics to leave from Monrovia to go to Grand Chile, it creates a problem. Something that you could like settle within a few seconds before you look it escalate, because by the time the troops take to leave from Monrovia to Grand Chile, because of poor logistics, it becomes a problem for us. The next issue is the issue of accommodation.
Okay.
Like for example, the EPK barracks were meant for only one battalion, but today we have over 5,000 personnel and the dependents there.
Wow.
We have the brigade, we have the logistic command, we have the medical command within the EPK barracks. So if we don't have funding for housing to renovate other bases within the counties, it creates problem for us because we will not recruit if we don't have housing for people. You cannot train people and you tell them go back to your house and be coming to work. That is, they could do anything out there. So these are just some of the
there's a key funding, logistics, accommodation. These are, if not the most important challenges you ever get to face, at the level of work you do. What do you do, because if you look at the national envelope, it's stressed. The national envelope is stressed, so many priorities, but of course you are a major priority. So how are you working with central government to make sure that you get funding and also get, being innovative to get other sources of funding outside of the national budget?
Okay, what we do, let me leave the issue of the national budget out a little bit. With our troops being deployed in Mali, and with our COE that we are getting, it will take some constraints from the government. Because
what is the COE?
Country-owned equipment.
Okay, good. No,
so these are the equipment that we take to the mission, the vehicles, the weapons, the tank, and everything that we take there. These are the things that we get funded for. So when these funds come in, we use it for example like accommodation to go and renovate other bases that are within the counties. When they come in, we use some of it for maintenance of our vehicles, the generator, so that cut down some of the burdens from our government. But that cannot be used to pay salary.
Of course.
That cannot be used to pay salary because it doesn't come every month. They have a time frame to come. So engaging into with the government, we have a good relationship with the House, with the Senate, and it was like, it's not like before where before you see a senator you have to like the bureaucracy was so long, but nowadays every media can pick up a phone and call somebody from the Senate. Can I come to meeting? We have this issue, and then we see how best we can iron it out, and we tell them these are our constraints and this is what we need in order for us to move the army forward, and they take a look at it and say we'll get back to you or see how best they can handle some of these issues.
Is salary delay also an issue?
It's an issue. I'll be frank with you, it's an issue because within the military, we are not allowed to have an outside employment.
Not any form of outside employment?
Not any form of outside employment, we are not allowed. So if if I working in the military and I'm only depending on that salary and I have family, I have children to go to school, it become a problem for me if I cannot pay my children's school fees. Not all the schools will like say, okay, I will give you time. Some of the schools will tell you plain no. So it becomes a problem if my soldier down there cannot pay his or her child's school fees and that soldier is on duty, it become a problem. It play on the soldier mind. The soldier start thinking where to go and credit money from, where to go and get money, or where to go to somebody to go and beg or something like that. So it become a problem.
And Dana, you all know, we all know the projection that we had even last year says that we're expecting 7%, we came -7. Again, for the projection for 2020, we're seeing around 1%. 1% is what like for our economy to like grow, and we know that we know government is challenged. But I will tell you, we are working with the finance ministry through our minister of defense. Currently, we're expected to get our December salary by the end of this week. Their allotment is already out. So yeah, indeed, salary delay is a challenge, but we are working with the relevant authorities to see how we can mitigate a couple of the challenges.
Logistics, and I'm saying with you, I know you have more things to tell me, but logistics, and especially for the troops in country, whether it's in Rangida or wherever, or it's in Monrovia, but logistics wise, in terms of operational funding, how is it like?
It's a challenge. It's a challenge. Yeah, I would tell you it's a challenge. Even though salary is delayed, what more of operation funds? So it's a challenge, but we are working with again, like I would say, through the Ministry of Defense. He's like doing his best to engage like the Ministry of Finance to see how we can solve or mitigate like the issue of operation funding.
Okay, so you may go ahead now. Additional things relating to the soldiers down there and all that. Before I come to Major Force Command Sergeant Marco.
Okay, other challenges that we have is the issue of compulsory saving. Okay, during the last administration, it was some issue about money that were deducted from soldier salary.
Yeah.
Like I said, the money was deducted on a good purpose because before, if you have served your time within the armed forces of Liberia, and we say, okay, your service are no longer needed, or you said I have served my time and I'm not willing to go forward, this money was to be given to you as a start up until the government can come up with some benefit for you. So the money that was deducted had a good intent, but now because of the last administration, we all know what went wrong with some budget money business. So it creating a problem for us because soldiers will always ask, when will we get our compulsory saving?
But you gotta be leaving to get it, huh? You have to be leaving
No,
to get it, or
no.
okay.
At first,
Yeah.
you have to be leaving first to
To
get
get
it, or either you die.
Okay.
But it was a time frame to it. You have to serve like 15 years, 20 years, and this year when you're ready to leave, then we give you your benefit, your compulsory saving. That was the point of the compulsory saving.
You see, just to add on what she said, the fact is that like the intent was when you're leaving, you're retiring, or maybe you're leaving the service. But because of what went on, because it's in code, it's hard to say. I can come out to say, who knows, to speak on what is in. But the issue, we expected 1.9 million to be there. We met 700,000 that was left into the account, and that sparked the investigation. And after the investigation, this government under President Weah provided additional 460,000. That 460,000 was added to the 700,000 that we met in the bank. And what we did, we decided, because after the investigation, they said we should put a halt to the contribution, those that are contributing. Because we started paying 2009 and 2017. The issue came in 2018. January, February, we put it to a halt. So we had to divide the money in 2018, July and December. We managed to give back to like 1,555 personnel in the armed forces of Liberia. So we started from the lowest level, the active duty first. That is for private first class, corporal, sergeant. We have some senior NCOs, officers that are needed to get the money for active duty, and also those that retire or those who requested separation, we also have to pay them. And those who even left on AWOL, like who abandoned the AFL, they also contributed, they're entitled to the money. But there are basic rules and regulations governing, like, in order for those people, especially that category of able to get the money. So it is a challenge because we are planning on, we got a retirement benefits policy that was supposed to take to the House of Senate, House of Representatives, in order for government contribution to, like, after a person served. It is a big issue, I believe, in Liberia, is the issue of safety net for people who serve the country after 30 years, 35 years. They leave the service and they get out there. There's nothing for them. And it just passed in the streets of Monrovia. How many old people do you see in the street of Monrovia? Because people get frustrated after serving the country 30 years and the country partly abandon them. You hear people from former organizations, security, are complaining that they served 30 years and people abandon them and give them only $540. Today, there's a place called 540 because of that. We don't want to have the repeat of that. But in order for us to begin that retirement process of benefit, we need to have the confidence of the soldier again that this time your retirement benefit, you're going to get it, but you yourself have to sometimes contribute to it, because we just said the issue of our own, the purse.
So it's like you looking forward to restarting it. But this time with more awareness so that people understand it.
Correct. But you can start, if you stay indebted to like almost 800 person. We needed almost like 800,000 plus. If we get 800,000 plus, we'll be able to like settle. And our own President George Wanawea, have assured us that they're working on it. He and the finance minister are working, see just like how to provide the initial 460,000. They're definitely going to consider and see how it will be handled.
And lastly, from my part, is the issue of the power generation.
Okay.
There's an issue with budget and funds and getting fuel or gasoline to run the generator. For example, like the EPK barrels, most of the time we talk about the EPK barrels because it's the biggest barrel that holds most of our personnel and the dependents. If you run the generator from 6 to 6, we're talking about almost running up to 200, say about 200 or 210 gallons. Yes.
Per day.
Per day. So it becomes a challenge if you don't have the funding to get fuel. And it's not only with EPK barrels, we have AFTC, we have Grand Chia, we have.
And they're not connected to the city power.
No, not yet.
We, in that era, we got a couple of barriers that connected because of what the wiring of the national grid, the LEC, the Liberian Coast Guard base, and the Barclay Training Center that connected. We even provided like a land space for LEC that, look, if you want to build your substation here, we will give you the jets to be able to run the line out go. And I think they should be starting this January or next month. For that direction, I will go to RIA, and we are hoping that, she says, it's a big challenge because you can run the barriers on power generation on fuel.
And also going to be down.
Exactly, it's a security place. It's a security place. Anything everybody want to target anywhere, that'll be somewhere. So the need of having electricity there is very, very important.
One more question for you. How are you encouraging females to join the force, to climb the ladder? It's never an easy road to success to get where you are. It didn't happen on a flower base of ease, as my mother would say. But how do you encourage other women to be like you and to strive to be where you are, even go farther than you?
Okay, let me start with the females within the APK barracks or within our institution. We tell them that whatsoever you have to do it, because you can never tell when someone is watching or someone is not watching you. I trained with my boss, and it was now a day that I told him that I won't do this or I won't do that. Whatsoever training that we were doing, I was into the training. Even if I did not know how to do it, they were always there to prep me up. It were things that I could do better than them, like sit up, and there were things that they could do far and no better than me. It was schools that I went to that I did not want to go to because it was so tough, but I had to go there because I knew what I wanted to be and how far I wanted to go into this institution. So that's what I tell the females within the armed forces of Liberia. Also, when we go to talk to the females, also what they complain about is the issue of the training. The training is tough. The training is tough. And I tell them, if one female can do it, why the others cannot do it? It's just the issue of determination. If you are determined, you can push yourself forward. And under no condition, I will advise my boss to reduce the training because we want for more females to be part of the armed forces. Because if we reduce the training and the female becomes a general, The male counterpart will tell her that the only reason why you reach here because they had to reduce the training for you. That respect will kind of go down. And even in a institution where we are a male-dominated institution, to get a female that is difficult, it's hard because most of the time, 99.9% of the time, males don't like to take instruction from females. So what happens if you reduce the standard just for you to reach a female to reach that peak? It become a problem. But what we are planning on doing for our next recruitment is to have a training section for females. Males are invited there, but some of the things that gave the female hard time, like the running, like the push up, it gave a lot of female hard time when they go for training and what we call BRM to go and qualify on your weapon. It gave them hard time, but we cannot take them on our range to go and qualify with any weapon because they are not yet in our institution. But what we could do is to start them up with the running, the sit up, and the push up. So those who have interest prepare them so when the training time comes, at least that part of the training will not give them a lot of hard time again.
I like that. Great. Well, you've been sitting very patiently, waiting for us to get to you. Forces Command Sergeant Major Cooper Mankwe. Thank you again for coming, sir. At your level, I listened to you talk about the enlisted soldiers. You talk about their morale, their welfare, and all of that. Let me hear some of the challenges and some of the achievements you had in your time so far.
One of the chief challenges has already been talked about, which is accommodation. I will not let you dwell on that, but
I'd like you to dwell on that small.
Okay, so it is an issue for us because we contribute about 75 to 80% of the total troops.
Yeah.
So, for example, if you find there is a unit called a platoon, it has 2 officers and the rest of, or 1 officer and the rest of the soldiers, 45 or so are enlisted. So we have issue with accommodation. We still have 2 families living in an apartment. For some part, we still have 2 soldiers, living in a room. It's a serious issue. No leader will want to see that he has his subordinate, in that condition and feel complacent about it. So accommodation is seriously, an issue. But our bosses are finding ways so that we can ease that tension. Another thing is we need more school slots, because in the army, before you are promoted to the next higher rank, you should go to school and qualify from school, because as part of the promotion criteria, you're supposed to have completed a course before you can be promoted, plus other criteria that you're supposed to meet. So if we can get more educational opportunity, it will be good. In that line, we are working with our counterpart through the chief of staff from other international partners to establish the NCO Academy, so that we can be able to conduct our own courses regularly, so that soldiers can qualify before they can be promoted to the next higher rank. In the absence of that, what we are doing promotion, and people are not being schooled before they can be promoted, but based on experience and other things, we are using it to promote them, and that is issue. Also, we are honor men. The strength is the forces are stretched out so much to the point that maybe one person is doing 2 or 3 persons' job. So when recruitment is not regular, it becomes issue because
recruitment is not regular because of
because of funding that you talk about. Because for you to recruit a single soldier, you should be preparing for at least 6 family members. Yeah, so it takes a lot to do.
How often is recruitment? Or how often should it be as opposed to what it is now?
For many military, it should be at least once a year. Yeah, to be able to replenish those that leave the military, because attrition is something that is all over the army, whether in the U.S. Army or whatever army it is. People come and they don't find themselves to be their character, their behavior not compatible with the army tradition. So you find them leaving for some other reasons. So you need regular training to do that.
Okay. So I'm going to come to certain issues of my own. into this conversation. But if you're just joining us, this is a reminder that you're following the Super Morning Show on ERBC Radio 99.9 FM. Major General Prince C. Johnson III, Chief of Staff of the Armed Forces, is our guest. He's also here with Brigadier General Geraldine George, Deputy Chief of Staff, and Forces Command Sergeant Major Cooper Markway, all of the AFL joining me on the Super Morning Show this morning. Let's transition. Let's talk about the AFL. I like to call it the social corporate responsibility of the AFL. I know the AFL normally sometimes when, the engineering detachment, sometimes they assist in rehabilitating roads. There are many things the AFL do outside of your normal operations, and I'd like you to please expand on that. It's been a long time I haven't heard.
I will not use the word in the military corporate because corporate is attached with people get profit, then have to do this. We don't get anything.
Okay.
I just spoke at the church and I was telling them, our job is service to nation. So we come to serve in the military. When you come to our own obligation, like within the communities, so far, the Armed Forces of Liberia so far conducted almost around 350 kilometers of road rehabilitation.
Okay.
We did the road between Vonchaman, Foya. We did the road, Zwedru Road. We did the one between Zwedru going to Fishtown. We did even in Morovia. We did the Jacotown Road from New Georgia as far as the Kebar Road. And so many. So if you put that in total, we're fortunate to get equipment from our partner, the Chinese, who provided the equipment, all those yellow machines that you see that we have. And currently, we are assisting with our hospital, our military hospital that we have. So our focus now, the engineering focus on the hospital, and our hospital, the 14 military hospital, is not just going to be for military or paramilitary personnel, but it's going to be cut across the country, those especially in the Dwazon area, and others who will want to go to the hospitals. So currently, yes, we have completed that. We are also doing the work of our EOD, that is Explosive Ordnance Division. Their responsibility is remnants of war. The Somalia draft, before they till the soil, or the company that work on the Japanese company they have there, we had to go there and do like an evaluation, look, and we managed to find a lot of stuff. That area heavily contested during the war. So we have that responsibility. So for every time people find remnants of war, like unexploded bombs, unexploded ammunition, like sitting somewhere, they inform the Liberian National Police. They call us. So we are making the communities, our country, safe of those things, and a lot of other activities we've been building, like schools around. They call us, especially working with the Public Works Ministry, that have these contracts and come to us and tell, we want you to do this, and we go there, help and do that. So there are lots of things that we are providing. It's our civic responsibility to our communities and country.
Great. Now, can you make some clarifications before we talk about the 14 military hospital? Now, as I ask the questions, any of you can come in, where necessary. On the land opposite the EBK barracks, because that land, I understand. I may be wrong. That there's been some contestation. So I'd like you to speak to that.
This is the fact that war always brings challenges in the country. That land, according to our own investigation, in the 70s, it was given to the military. It should be like almost 10,000 acres. But as we speak to you, it has reduced because of encroachment from people during the war. People took advantage. Our military completely restructured. It was like dissolved. We started from scratch. So a lot of Liberians took advantage. One of the areas is the 72nd camp. Is actually called the Camp Remra, which is the 72nd. You think we can go back there to put a barracks there because people have already. That place used to host the motorized unit, where you have to move our things and stuff, but we cannot go there because of the encroachment. So that land currently is our land, but this was the mistake that people did in the past. People gave the land to government. Government failed to probate. So people come to contest. That land is a matter. We tell the people we have set a demarcation. It went to court. That case went to court. The court handled it, and they said nobody. And we now currently have a demarcation. That land is our land. We have currently engaging with the housing authority that if you want to build an estate unit, can you come and build something here? Build it that we will have first preference, because this is the point of driving policy that people who will serve the military when they leave. Most time in Liberia, people only receive pension benefit. and you leave, you get pension benefit, it's half of the pay you leave with. Can you imagine if a man is getting like $200? 10 years from now, he leave the military. You give him $100. You think what will be able to pay him if $200 will not afford him to get a house? So with that, we're engaging a look, come Bill, give an opportunity. A lot of soldiers, will go to Mali, come by with a lot of money, so they can be able to have their homes. You saw people fighting because they served the army 20, 25 years. Right behind the Redemption Road, behind the Barclay Training Center, people never had nowhere to go. Today we have behind the complex, the ministerial complex, an abandoned land. People had to go there because they had nowhere to go. They stay in the military so much and not have anywhere to go. So when we driving the policy, we are driving that our soldiers will have the opportunity, even after you serve, at least you have a 2-bedroom place that you can go in, and then the 14 military hospital will be right by you that medically you can go there. Then people feel the country is taking care of them. I will not just serve in public and leave or be benefiting from it. And we need to work. I believe we'll work there. We can reduce some of the corruption we're talking about around there. Because some people get there, they won't take what they can take, or they know when they leave the job, they're not going to get nobody will have them. This is a way that we believe that if you take care of people, like after public service, the issue of retirement benefit, I think it will help to reduce a lot of the issues we have sometimes around here.
Let me ask, I've heard rumors that there might be a pre-dedication or dedication of the 14th Military Hospital on the 11th of February next month. Is that true?
Yes, we're working on that. It's not the full hospital. A section of the hospital will be open. According to my information yesterday from the engineer, the AFL engineer, we're like around 92% completed. So we will have, the hospital is built like an H, meaning it got 4 different divisions. So for now, by armed forces, they will expect to open maybe just one section. That section will be the OPD, outpatient department. So that outpatient department will have that open to the public, because we intend to have the male ward, the women ward, children ward, all the section. I'm not the right person to ask, but for now we have completed like the building itself. Okay. We are roofing now the triage. The emergency building is under construction. We got the morgue, it's already partly will be completed. So I went to Ghana. I was in Ghana 2000. I saw 37 hospital. Since 2000, we're on 20 years. 37 hospital is not like what I saw when I was in Ghana there. So for now, it's going to be small. I will not tell you, say, full-blown that hospital. I think, I'm not sure, maybe Jeremy will be the one opening that hospital when she showed up and sent maybe to the chief of staff. But it will take years to like complete and do a lot of work there. It's not something that we just have to do.
That a bit? Just a bit for us. Because
No, the hospital, the 14 military hospital is a boost for not only the armed forces of Liberia, but the country as a whole. Like he said, when you have served and you have gotten part of your pension money, that money cannot do anything for you. But at least you'll be having a place to go to when you are sick and pay a little amount or maybe nothing and get treatment than to go to other hospitals where they will tell you that you have to pay the full amount before they can touch you. And it's not only open to the military, it's open to the entire country. Anybody from anywhere can go there. It's not preference that because I serve and I go in there, so I will be treated first. It will be based on the seriousness of your illness.
Okay, wonderful. You want to add?
Oh yes, I think that she said the hospital is a plus for us because you kind of find out that soldiers and dependents serve, and sometimes they fall ill and they need attention, and going through bureaucracy, going to other health facility around the country, and sometimes the issue cannot be handled here locally. We have to send it out of country. So our hope is to see that our personnel can be more educated to be able to man the hospital, to take over the responsibility, so that that hospital can be able to cater to us and also to the locals within our area.
Now this is just before we take calls, because I see a lot of people wanting to participate. What brings the AFL out? And when I say what brings the AFL out, I'm talking about, I know it's the police responsibility to handle issues like protest. I know it's, others, members of the security apparatus. We'll cover other things. But what brings the AFL out?
Let me educate the public what
Please.
brings the AFL out. Insecurity, we got in the military, we got something called the MDMP process. That is military decision making process, MDMP. And we're currently part of the joint security. We serve on the joint security, we attend the meetings, but we monitor activities from our barracks. And you got threat levels. At certain threat levels, we convene as a joint security, and then when the police cannot handle this threat, through the Minister of Justice, he informed the Commander-in-Chief. That is through the National Security Council.
Yeah.
When he informed the Commander-in-Chief, the Commander-in-Chief convened the National Security Council, assessed the threat level, then he can inform the Minister of Defense, and the Minister of Defense will now inform one close according to our Constitution. I think it's Article 88, state of emergency. During that time, like we had in 2014, during the Ebola outbreak,
Yeah.
Madam Seti declared a state of emergency for us to prevent the migration of people from 4 counties in 2014. And during that time, August 7th, the state of emergency was declared, meaning the police did not have the ability to contain the situation of the migration of people from Bombing County, Cape Mount, Babalu, and Lofa, because people were moving to Monrovia from those areas that were affected by the Ebola virus. So she immediately called a meeting, they advised, we did a presentation, and that's when you saw that the armed forces of Liberia had to launch into it. So that is the case. I know people saying about the protests all around. We monitor these protests. The June 7th, we monitor it. The January 6th, we monitor from our barracks. At a point where the police can no longer handle, it has to go through the Justice Minister. I will have to request the Commander-in-Chief that I can no longer handle this. And that's a process. It's a process it goes through. Then you will see us coming out. And you dare don't want us to come out. So, so it's better for us to stay in our barracks.
Okay, thank you very much for that clarification. It's very important, to note that so the public gets a fair understanding of, what exactly, what can bring the AFL out. So for some of you who are monitoring and you have your questions and comments, one person I know who is already ready to call is Senator Steve Zago. So we will definitely take your calls. 0776 089 713, 0776 089 713, or 0880 514-096, 0880-514-096. You can join the presentation. Let me speak to Senator Zago now. Senator Zago, good morning. Welcome.
Thank you very much for having me.
Go ahead.
Yeah, let me use the opportunity to extend my greeting to the military. General, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Okay, Sergeant Major, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
I'm calling you good morning.
General George, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Look, I just called to appreciate the military. And you have said a word. In addition to what you have said, there's a need to strengthen our engineering and our agricultural battalion so that the military is exercise the fullness of the duty at the service for good. Look, they will save this country money and resources if the engineering battalion military, the agricultural battalion military are in hands. If they are, the money that we take to get the company, the money that we have to get the farmers, the military can complement as a service for good. The other thing we do in the military, each of every reconnaissance unit. We have had military who have trained, some of them come in Nigeria, Ghana, they return. We need an air reconnaissance unit. As a young man coming out during those days in barracks, we have our own air reconnaissance unit. A unit that will do a reconnaissance out of our borders. Our borders are porous. The military will have to enhance that. If you go to Ghana and Nigeria, they got the incentives to encourage young men and women to join the military. And I agree with them that even when you should have joined the military at the end of the career, you should have something in your hand that everyone can say, thank God my father or my sister served the military.
Sure.
I mean, I much commend the military and thank them so much. When you talk about Look at it, they don't have an engineering battalion. They did the Lufa Road, they did the Bonyama Road, the Kola, the Foya, and the east of Liberia did some work there. Let me commend the military.
Thank you, sir.
And after having done this, even those who retire from the military, who avail themselves into what we call a civil defense service. Because we organize the civil defense service that complement national security. Those are people who are serving the military and paramilitary. So they to train them to bring them to work to complement national security an easier thing. Because they have served there for years. So their ability, their capacity will be utilized by those who are active to enhance and strengthen national security in ways the manner that ensure that we have total control of our country and our territory. General, thank you very much, and keep on the good work.
Thank you very much, Senator
Thank you,
Zago. Thank you very much for joining us on the show. Let me take this call from this line. Good morning.
Daniel Ankrah.
Good morning. What is your name?
Good morning to General Prince Charles Johnson. Good morning to General Jelvin George. And good morning to the Sergeant Major. My name is David Chie, and I called this morning from District 6. Well, let me thank you people for the level of work at the armed forces of Liberia. But it's true that some of us have acknowledged that there are budgetary constraints for you people have been working. But basically this morning my attention is drawn to this issue of military. Because now the military remains the only group by law that is responsible to defend the country when it comes to combat. Now, we follow the issue about the compulsory saving. And since this government took the responsibility to pay soldiers, there are few people who have received. And the rest of them, majority of the other soldiers have not received. This has caused serious misunderstanding. In fact, people are based in franchise and they are not satisfied. Also, there are young Ghanaian men and women in the armed forces of Liberia who are resigning on a daily basis, resigning for reasons such as salary does not come on time, resigning for reasons such as electricity is erratic, at times it doesn't come even to officer quarters and non-commissioned officer quarters, resigning for reasons such as when people are sick, at times you need to use your own money to treat yourself. These things are very disincentive to young people who have dream of becoming soldiers in this country. Mind you now, as people are resigning, we need to be recruiting people. Yet and still the armed forces of Liberia has not recruited people. Even if you would say you're about to conduct training, how many young Liberians do you now think will want to join the military? Mind you now, there is no one who wants to join the military and so forth. Other countries, when people are wearing that camouflage uniform, when people are getting the flag of the republic, those people are treated fairly. I think it's about time that not only those people are the armed forces of Liberia, but also our national government needs to look very critically to support these people, because these are people who are in uniform. We saw what happened in Burkina Faso.
No, we're going to that route. I mean, the recommendation has been. I will not even let you go that route. Let me take.
Even just to educate Daniel Chia. Daniel, it is not true. There are more people who have received from the compulsory saving. Government gave us, those who haven't received. Okay. According to our listing, is around 2,400 are supposed to receive. Okay. We have so far paid. Government has so far paid 1,555. Okay. So we have around 800 plus. That is those who went on AWOL, those who active duty who are in, and those separated from the army. So the total number is around 2,400 are supposed to receive, but we have paid 1,555 out of 1.something million.
Okay, thanks for that quick clarification. Good morning.
Good morning, my dear brother Daniel Ankrah. Good morning. This is B. Jibril Niswa.
Go ahead, Jibril.
Thank you. Let me say good morning to the Chief of Staff and the Deputy Chief of Staff. It's true. You know, Daniel, I've monitored them and I listened to them too. Let me appreciate them first because I saw the guys are very brilliant and excellent. So we say thanks to them so much. And what we want us to do is that to appeal to our president so that he can extend hands to some developed country that will be able to give our equipment to our engineering battalion at the AFL so they can be able to do their best. Again, that's the president for breaking a new record to make the female
military because you left action without leave. That is a crime. That is a violation of Article 92 under the UCM Code of Military Justice. So you actually a banner. If you contributed to the compulsory saving, all you need to do is just be patient. Like we said, as soon as we get the balance of the money, we'll call you to give your money. But those of you who went on AWOL, because you went on AWOL, you did not turn over your uniform and all your logistics that we give you, You have to return with those logistics, and then we give you money. If you don't have the money, we just do the deduction of what you took away from us to be able to give you. But we will not only this leadership and only this president will not accept any AWOL person back into the military. People trying to come back now
resigning because of lack of salary and other reasons.
Before we had that, the number has reduced because of the United Nations mission, and that's why you see a lot of the AWOL guys want to come back. Because they see a lot of the friends who now having the opportunity to go to UN are coming back with like good amount of money, and people want now to come back. I will tell you, when it comes to the issue of recruitment, everywhere we pass, every day people ask. Despite these challenges, there are a lot of young people that still want to come. All we need to do is to work together, partnership with our partner, and some of these challenges we talk about. There's a way forward. We already know how to tackle those things.
Okay, let me take the next call. Good morning. Okay, that call us off the line. Let me take this one. Good morning.
Yes, good morning, sir.
What is your name?
Good morning.
Good morning, I can hear you. What is your name?
Someone's calling from a comfort zone. Please, Alan Jacob Town.
Go ahead, please.
Yeah, I want to know, is the army still doing recruitment or won't be that next recruitment?
Okay, you want to know the next recruitment of the army. Thank you very much. Let's take the next call. Good morning.
Good morning, Daniel.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning to Assembly Advancing Studio. My name is Neil Adam and I just call from the GSA community. My concern has to do with the relationship between the military and the government. I can remember time back, the military started back and there was some discussion in the salary or city and what have you when they reached the stage that very people have to deal with FS1 away. So my concern is how is the nation, are they taking up, keeping a saving for you people? People are sitting there for someone is saving for what?
I think that issue actually has been addressed already.
The military and the government, thank you so much.
Thank you. I mean, the military is the government anyway. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. What is your name? People want to be a part of the army though. So you all can respond where appropriately to the concerns before we wrap up.
Let me answer to the question on the contact person in the army who can be called upon if
in case of misconduct.
Yes. So we had the legal section that is responsible to ensure that all service personnel live by the regulation and also the Constitution of Liberia. So in any corner in Liberia or in Monrovia, you saw soldier doing something out of the way that they're not supposed to do, you contact the legal personnel. The number will be given out. You can contact the legal personnel, or you can call on the Liberia National Police. The Liberia National Police will also call our bosses, and then we'll get our MP on ground to make sure they get that soldier apprehended and taken to the barrack if possible.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Yeah, go ahead. You can complete your bucket list.
Thank you.
Yeah, go ahead.
We were talking about soldier who left under the Article AWOL. Actually, it's not AWOL, it's desertion. Because AWOL is the person is absent from a place of work, and he did not go to stay permanently. So desertion is he or she has left with the intent of not returning. So they have left with a permanent intent not to come back to the army, and that is desertion. And with that, you don't come back to the army. If you can check any other army, check Google, check dictionary on desertion, it has harsh punishment if they were, in fact, if you are apprehended. But now we are not going after those who have deserted because they have shown the desire that they are no longer interested in serving at AFL. And what that does is not good for our country. Other military around the country, you find out that even in the past, their forefathers served and they were making $1.50. They have to make that sacrifice. That's why their country is where it is today. So it is true that there are challenges, but it's interesting that we stay to make it better, because if we don't sacrifice, Nigerian will not do it for us. Ghanaian will not do it for us. It will be Liberians who will have to do this sacrifice.
Certainly.
Okay, let me talk about the person who talked about they were recruited in 2015. You were not recruited, you were vetted in 2015. Okay. And if we start the recruitment process, you will be vetted over. We're not going to take you because you were vetted in 2015. You have to go through the procedure again to meet the criteria and be enlisted into the armed forces of Liberia.
Okay, so let me just get one quick clarification on that. One of the callers mentioned 2014, one of them mentioned 2015. So is it that since that time, they've not been able to go through any advanced process since they were vetted?
The problem is that vetting the when we did the recruitment that time, if they didn't take them, we have already past the time. It's like almost 5 years.
So they were not.
So if your name is in the pool, because we collect name and put in the pool. Like if we want 200 person, we'll take like 500. At the end of the day, it will come down to like 250 that we may go. So if you don't hear your name or they didn't call you during that time, meaning that during either the vetting process, they found out something and then you are out. So this year we have been assured by the Commander-in-Chief and the Minister of Defense that there will be a recruitment this year. I don't want to put a specific date to it, but we're looking forward to that because a lot of people like keep balking up the issue of when will you recruit. They should just listen to the radio, especially the female, like Deputy General George said. We looking forward to attract a lot of female, but we are not going to reduce our standard because we want female. So she rightly said it. If you are in 28, you are nothing like recruitment. Your name was put into the vetting pool, and during that process, it seems like you missed that.
You wanted to add on? Okay, great. Okay, let him come in and finally we'll come to.
So there is a reason why you have to be re-vetted because time has elapsed and maybe conditions that were not met the first time you were vetted, those conditions now exist. And maybe somebody has fallen sick or gone through medical operation and stuff like that. So you have to do re-vetting, to make sure that as we assessed you in the past, you still have the same condition that will meet the criteria for you to come back to the military.
Yeah, there's a part that Senator Zako talked about, and I already appreciate as a legislature or senator to please try and talk to the committee. He also on the committee. He worked before as chair, I think 2 years ago, on the defense committee in the Senate. We hope we can talk that hopefully 2020-2021 budget year they will increase our budget and to see how we can expand the issue of our engineering battalion, like you talk about the air reconnaissance unit, and see how we can come up with a proposal on the whole civil defense service that people who leave paramilitary or military can like conglomerate and then be able to serve the country despite they are no more in the military or paramilitary. I think with the senator championing that cause, I sure that budget support will definitely be added to the defense budget.
Okay, so as we're wrapping up now, I would like for all of you to speak briefly, just a minute, 30 seconds, on prospects for 2020 as we wrap up. I'll begin with you, Simon.
Prosper for 2020, we always caution the soldier to make sure they remain professional. The discipline is the bedrock, and the way forward is to ensure that we ourselves who are in leadership, we set the example, we live by the example. And if there are soldiers who deviate from the norms of the military, we hold them accountable to doing that. With that, I think we can do a lot better. Our slots continue to increase at the level of the United Nations. They are requesting for more troops every day. The only thing is that it has to do with the equipment that you have to deploy with. There are benchmarks that you have to meet, before you can increase your size. So there are more good things to come, and our partners country continue to give us slots, even though, like I said, we are many in this test. So the slot that counts is like a drop in the ocean. So if that can increase, yeah.
Great. Thank you, sir, for coming. It's been a pleasure having you.
I would say that we are hoping on our partners to increase our slot than what he said, because career progression is an important thing in any institution. You have to advance yourself. But even if it's not coming, there are schools, other local schools that are coming to take advantage, that our personnel should take advantage of these schools that are coming up, and they should do the hardest right than the easiest wrong, because when no one is watching you, when you think no one is watching you, there is always someone that is watching you.
Again, I would like to say on this Commander-in-Chief, President George Manawia, the Minister of Defense, no more will the Armed Forces of Liberia will ever be used to perform the functions of other paramilitary units like were done in the past, that they had to restructure the Armed Forces of Liberia. What do I mean? If you read our TRC report, I always tell people there were a couple of mistakes that were made in the past that the Armed Forces of Liberia had to be restructured. Like a couple of them would be like the issue of using the military to quell protests, student protests. We all remember in the early 80s, the armed forces of Liberia was used to go and quell down the protests at the University of Liberia campus. We all can remember the famous military person that used to be called the post-stake, were always hosts of opposition or politician, when in fact they had no connection to the military, but they took into the military. Under this president, we have all agreed under this leadership that no more the armed forces of Liberia will be used to perform other functions that is not the constitutional mandate to be able to go there. And the president is following that step in doing that. We must commend him for that role. We want to say thank you to the Liberian people for all the support, and we will keep asking them for the continuous support to the armed forces of Liberia. To that private who is listening to me, that enlisted man down who's at the gate, it's all because of you. We are here. We want to say thank you for your service. Continue what you are doing. We are praying that this year, 2020, will be a good year for the armed forces of Liberia and Liberia. Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you very much. And so I've had in studio Forces Command Sergeant Major Cooper Ankrah, Brigadier General Geraldine George, Deputy Chief of Staff, and Major General Prince C. Johnson III, Chief of Staff. Thank you all for coming here.
Born to win. I say I was born to win. Born to win. I say you was born to win, yeah. All I do was win, 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 win. All I do was win, 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 win. I say I jump over it. Now how you did for me, I jump over it. I say I jump over it. Now how you did for me, I jump over it. I say I jump over it. I say your time, now your time, nobody can stop it. I say your time, now your time, nobody can stop it. They can do what they do, and they can talk all they talk. They can do what they do. Hey, turn the fire the person, Holy Ghost fire the person. Turn the fire the person. All I do is win, 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 win.